Hey everybody, Barry here again. Got something a little bit different today. I'm looking at these inner tie rods, and I've read that with all-wheel drive and a lot of power, you got a tendency to buckle these tie rods. I guess it must push the wheel in toward the front and kind of tacos them. I don't want that to happen. They're not real heavy duty. It's kind of underbuilt for a four-wheel drive truck, so we're going to beef it up. And to do that, I've got here some pipe. This is 1/2 inch inside diameter, schedule 40 pipe. It's about 1/8 inch wall, maybe a little bit thicker. And essentially what I'm going to do is come right in here and I'm going to weld this pipe directly to the jam nut. I'm going to cut this pipe, I think it's a foot, so I'll cut it pretty much right in half or bring it right up to like this knob right here. That way I still have wheel alignment room. Or maybe I'll come right by this like Carquest logo or something right here. That way I've got lots of adjustment room, but it'll still take up as much of that tie rod as possible. I know you can buy these on Amazon and through Rough Country or something, but they're like 70 bucks. This pipe costs $3. I'd rather make my own anyway. Okay. If you're watching this video because you're making a bunch of power with four-wheel drive and you don't want to bend your inner tie rod so you're welding a sleeve in, you probably don't need me to show you how to undo a tie rod. But I'm going to do it anyway. So we just cracked our jam nut so we can unscrew the inner tie rod, or the outer tie rod I should say. And there's a little knob right here on the end of the knuckle. I like to smack that with a hammer. It'll usually upset the tie rod enough to unscrew it. Move that out of the way a little bit and unscrew our tie rod. Just to be sure that I put the jam nut back in the exact location, on the depth gauge on here, just down to the nut, 1.639. And I've already got the passenger side taken off. Same thing over here, 1.775. So a little bit more tie rod on this end. And I wonder if that's why my steering wheel's not quite straight. But I'll get that fixed when I get new wheels on this thing and tires and to do the alignment again. The task for right now, see how long this is. So we have about 12 1/4-ish. Now we'll measure the max length on each of the tie rods. So right there, the absolute max I would go is probably 6 1/4. That way we're back from the boot about 1/4 of an inch. Check the other side. Right here we've got pretty much the same. That'll give us a little bit less than a gap. So what I'm going to do is just cut that pipe right in half. We can see here that right on 12 1/4, we're going to lose 1/8 of an inch from the thickness of the cutoff wheel anyway. So what we'll be left with is about 6 1/16, which is like more than fine because, you know, we were heading for the 6 1/4 mark anyway. So that's going to be just fine. Let me go clean this up a little bit here and clean up those hard edges, and we'll be right back. So when I'm trying to get really precise measurements, this doesn't have to be exactly, absolutely perfect, not by any means, but it's nice to get it as close as I can. So I'm going to go 6 1/8, and I'm just going to nick it with the hacksaw right on that mark right there. That way, when I go and transfer it over to the chop saw, I've got my mark made. And you can see right there, we're pretty well dead on. So I'll lay my chop saw blade right in the center of that, slice it off, clean it up on the bench grinder. So I've already measured from the end into the jam nut. So now I'm just going to take it off. I'm not going to weld it with the jam nut on the tie rod. I don't really think there's any point as long as I get it centered up, of course. You know what? I just found a U-bolt that it actually threads onto. that'll make sure that my pipe stays, relatively square and centered. And just go and weld it like that. Nip it in the vise, and it's nice and handy. I don't have to try to center it up like this. So you can see, and it's pretty much the same diameter as the tie rod because the nut screws on. It's not exactly bar tight, but it's going to be a lot stronger than just having the tie rod by itself. And I think what I may do is get a little bit of silicone after I'm done, and after the wheel limit is done, I may run just a bead of silicone around here, smooth it with my finger, just to make sure that no dirt and corrosion and water and stuff gets in here and sits and rusts the tie rod or my sleeve, or it just jams it up. So I think that would be a good thing to do too. I've got it set up here. I think it's pretty well level. Looks like it's going to work out really well. And I think I might put something in between here just to kind of take up slack and have it centered a little bit better. Center it up a little bit there. I jammed a little piece of wire in so that, see if it can even out a little bit. Okay, that worked. Okay, look at that. This is not the prettiest thing, but it'll work. Well, let's see how this thing works out. Okay. Look at that. Might be a little bit tight because sometimes when you weld on a nut, it'll get a little bit tight on the threads. But no, we're good so far by the looks of it. Oh, this is so cool. I know I could have bought these, but they're like $70 each, and I don't want to. I don't like spending money when I can make it. And before anybody says you're modifying your steering and suspension and you're gonna crash and go off the road and kill someone, this is not a crucial part of the steering system. Of course, the inner tie rod itself is, but the only thing that I actually modified was the nut. I'm just adding strength or density or whatever you want to call it, really. And hey, if your steering and suspension system is stronger, it's safer. So let's do a little bit of math. My steering wheel is off a little bit to the right. I think it is to the right. So I'm going to see if I can correct it by splitting the difference between the differences of the jam nut to the end of the inner tie rod on each side. So on the left we have 1.639. On the right we have minus 1.775. That gives us a 130 thousandths. Now we'll divide that by 2. That's 6 thousandths. 6 hundredths? I always have so much trouble with this. Anyway, 0.06. So we will 0.068. 0.068. So now to correct it, to make these two completely even, we go 1.639 plus 0.068. 1.707. So now to check our numbers, we go 1.775 minus 0.068, 1.707. So if I make each jam nut 1.707 inches from the end of the inner tie rod, my alignment should be correct, and hopefully, if I have this done correctly, my steering wheel should be straight. Let's try it. Now I will add that I did back off the jam nuts just a little bit. It should be as close as it can get to correct. And I'm getting the wheel alignment in a couple of weeks anyway, so I'm sure it'll be fixed by then. I'm sure you guys can't see it, but I've got my you might be in range anyway. Let's try it. Got my caliper here, and we are at 1.675, so we got to go back quite a ways. Oh, 1.8. I went back too far. 0.77. Now, when you're putting a tie rod on, and people are like, just count the treads. Yes, that's absolutely fine. I just like to get it as close as I can to what it was. I'm sure it's going to be just fine. 1.704. 1.707. Look at that. Right on the money. Now, when I go to screw my outer tie rod on this, I may have to move that jam nut in or out a little bit to get it to actually jam. So it's not going to be exactly perfect anyway. Oh, but it's close though. Should I go bring it over here to jam it? Quite a bit. I think I'm going to bring it one more rotation like that and then jam it. Now, again, I'm not a wheel alignment person. I've never done one. I'm just trying to duplicate what was already there. That's all tightened up. There's our jam nut. Now we're all good. So to be able to do the alignment on this, I know it's going to be kind of funny, but this boot can be pushed back here a little bit, and if need be, can grab the back of here with like a small pipe wrench or vice grips or something, because they're easy to move. It's not much to it, and it won't take much to align it now because I've got it right back where it needs to be. That looks so much stronger. Dude, the inner and outer tie rod now are basically the same diameter. Yeah, you can see my welding. No, it's not that pretty. But hey, it's going to work, and it's going to work amazing. Look how tight that looks. That is so cool. So I'm going to go ahead and do the other side, but you don't need to see that because we literally just did it together. So I'm all done for today. I don't have any wheel alignment data to give you because it's still on the lift. I'm not going to be getting alignment for another couple of weeks, but when I do, we'll check in and see what it looks like. So let me know what you think. Should I have went on Amazon and bought the Rough Country $70 Canadian tie rod sleeves to accomplish the exact same thing that I'm doing here? Well, it's completely up to you. If you want to spend the extra money and don't want to get your hands dirty, go for it. All the more power to you. So thanks for checking out the channel. Thanks my YouTube members, patrons, and subscribers. If you want to check out my Patreon, it's patreon.com/stationroadratrods. My YouTube members link is down here. And thanks for watching. Have a great day, everybody.